Hey guys, and welcome to a Monday Fuck Around and Find Out podcast, where we interview some interesting people from the local badassery that is the online community for mycology. Today we have Munchauzen. There's a little bit deviation from our normal here today, is we have a second co-host. It's going to be Trim. Everybody knows him from the regular Tuesday podcast, the Random Bird Screeches. Except that today, Trim is a fanboy of Munchauzen, so we figured we'd bring him on.
A munchie.
We figured we'd bring him on to just go ahead and hump his leg. It would provide quality entertainment. It's a dominancy thing, I swear.
Well, to know Munch is to love him, of course, right?
Well, thanks for having me on. That's pretty flattering. I don't know if I've heard of a term for the fans yet, so that's
I just created it, but it sounds perfect, right?
Oh yeah, no, you heard it here first. He's a munchie.
Well, I guess there could give a little bit of a backstory. As you know,
Sure.
we were discussing having Munchausen on our show, and I told everybody, way back in the day, Munchausen was one of the very first people I ever got spores from. So you kind of helped start my journey in this whole.
You disseminated.
How long ago was that?
Spores.
Oh my God, it's been years now. I lost track, but it was a long
as
time ago.
Munchausen?
Oh man, I don't even remember. I met you through a
Okay.
friend, and I got some of your MelMaks from you years ago.
Okay, yeah, then it probably was as Munchausen. I used to also sell spores on Reddit as Z Baron, so I was on there for like 7 years.
Z-Baron
and then I
sounds
kinda-
familiar.
Yeah, it is. It's familiar. That's real familiar.
Yeah, I
probably
was
did
on.
this shit for
I was on the trusted vendors list on Spore Swap.
Okay.
Rather
Yeah.
near the top. I was like the fourth person listed because I was there since close to the beginning of the subreddit. So I was pretty high up on the vendor list, but I never made ads. So I got plenty of business just because I was high up on the vendor list.
Nice.
Yeah, that helps a lot, I'm sure. I avoid Reddit like the plague in general, but I can see where that
Oh
would work.
man, it's gone downhill bad.
Yeah. They put the nix on spores, active spores, and anything fun on Reddit. So I haven't really spent too much time on it lately. But I didn't mean to deviate from what you were saying. That you were talking
That's
about.
what this whole podcast is for, is deviation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I already had a few dabs this morning, so
There you go.
tend
Excellent.
to just ramble on sometimes.
I'm way too sober for this.
They made me get up early for this. It's crazy.
It's a government holiday. You gotta.
Oh, that's
Time
right.
on.
Shit.
Yeah, who's
That's
the
why
fuck
everybody's
celebrating this
home.
day? Yeah, right.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was wondering why everybody was off work. I was like, why does everybody want to come over? I was like, oh, it's a holiday.
Yeah, the great President's Day. I'm not sure what we're celebrating, but okay.
Washington's
Anyways.
birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you probably got the MelMak spores from me. I'd say probably 2019, maybe. I'm guessing.
Possibly, maybe 18.
Okay, yeah, that might have been it. It's hard to keep track, but I've been running those for a good 5-6 years. I feel like.
Yeah, you weren't the first one I ever got spores from, but you were the first one that I ever got through Discord and through friends and say, hey, call
right
this
on.
guy up. Yeah.
Nice.
Beautiful.
I
So tell us a
started
little
out
bit about yourself.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. Well, let's see. My main cultivation really started, I guess, around 2014 when I got back into it. I had dabbled a little bit with some grow kits here and there. In like 2014, I did a PF. I finally did like a proper PF Tech grow with like a shotgun fruiting chamber and everything.
Right.
And that went pretty well. And so, I was encouraged by the success of that to dive a little deeper and started doing pasty plates, the tech for no pour Agar on shroomery. And
Yeah.
I think my first success was probably doing the bottle tech, following Muddafucka's original guide. There's the original and there's like V2. But I had a lot of success using the original bottle tech. And then like 2015 is when they started making those little 6-quart shoe boxes.
Right.
And yeah, we started, as soon as those hit the shelves, people in Shroomery were all over those. Before there was, it probably took a year or so before anyone published a tech on it. I think Mush Boy has probably the most viewed tech on shoeboxes, but there was like a good group of us running shoeboxes for probably a good year before anyone wrote one up. Just trying all the different configurations. You know, I think I personally did at least half a dozen shoebox designs, ultimately settling what I have now in my video, which is just to do them unmodded into
I was gonna say just and then go back to the original.
Yeah, toss them inside
Excellent.
the monotub. But it's still really nice because you don't have to like mix spawn. So I think my preferred method is shoe boxes. If I'm doing all the work myself, I like to do shoe boxes. If I'm doing all the culture work, sometimes, you know, I'll get bags from some friends and I'll run those as monos. But usually if I'm running things myself, it's like quart jars to shoe boxes.
See,
I usually
quart jars. Amen.
Yeah.
Yeah, shoe boxes are great for testing out genetics too, without going all in with supplies. In my experience.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a nice way to not put all your eggs in one basket, so to speak. If you're running a bunch of new stuff, or you know, as a spore vendor, I don't necessarily need a whole lot of one specific variety, so I can just do these smaller runs in bottles and in shoe boxes, and just get prints from all those. So that actually helps a lot. Is just because like last year I grew 10 varieties at once, and that was a bit much to juggle.
I think I'm doing 32 right now.
Yeah, he's a little bit extreme there. Like, Deadpool does a shitload at once.
Yes, it can be a lot to juggle. I mean, I just literally ran out of space with all the stuff that I had because I just only had a tiny little plastic shelf from Walmart and a little tiny like 2-foot by 3-foot glass table, and so I was a little limited on how much I could produce. But that's what happens when you live in a, you know, tiny little 1-bedroom apartment.
Right.
Yeah, we've all pretty much upgraded to using grow tents as like laboratories, because you can control the environment inside of them and keep them really super sterile. You can just spray down the entire inside of the tent.
Yeah, I had actually considered that in the house I just recently moved out of, because it was I had this really bad issue with penicillium just getting everywhere. So I don't know if something in the house was moldy. Like, I actually had a huge roof leak in the middle of a storm last fall, and they never did any sort of remediation on anything in there, and it just
listen, do you not realize what you're doing to my grows?
Right. Once water gets in places it doesn't belong, bad things happen.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. I had like video of like water pouring down the walls inside of the house, and like they sent a guy to patch the roof, and they considered that good enough.
Oh, that's nice of them. You know,
not good enough for rent. Not good enough for my rent money.
Yeah,
exactly.
Breathe all those mold spores. That's great for you.
That's why I had to get out of there. I feel like that had probably been going on for some years, and the mold issues in that house were just ridiculous because I could just leave plates in my still air box and they would contaminate without even opening them, just because there must have been a crazy high spore load in that house. I'd never experienced anything like that. So it got to the point where I was considering the grow tent, but I actually just opted to just quit. So I haven't grown anything since like November because I gave up trying to combat the moldy house and just got out of there instead.
We got the move all done. You're all set up.
Not quite. I moved out, but I'm just crashing at my girlfriend's spot right now until I can find a good lease. Much
so
closer to my office job.
Definitely
yeah.
time now. Don't mind this big tent in your living room.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know how well that would go over. I would get kicked to the curb if I did something like that. Her place.
Dude, love the tents because you can like we put the entire lab in there, like your tables. You run your flow hood in there constantly keeping the air clean. You can raise and lower the temperature as you want. You can even use just a regular light bulb to heat up the tent because there's so.
Or have your flow hood vented outside the tent, so you always have positive pressure, which makes it.
If you're not using a hood, it's just like being in a giant still air box.
Oh yeah, no, it's great.
Yep.
Love them, absolutely. Yeah,
I actually looked into building my own lab, and for the price, a tent's like even for a really big one is less than $300.
You're done in a day.
It's hard to beat it. Yeah.
Oh, you could get the big ones. It's crazy. Who was it that just got?
It costs the same amount as a fucking nice little.
Who was it that just bought the one that's like the size of their freaking room, like a living room? It was like 9 foot.
I think that's Deadpool.
I'm getting a 10x10.
I own an 8x8 already, but I've been using that for gourmets. But
I used
it wouldn't be hard to turn it into a
4x6 one for a long time. And I still got it, but I'm definitely going to upgrade once we move. I'll just put up the biggest one that fits in the fucking room. Just make the whole room a big air box.
Right?
That's cool.
Yeah. I like them, man. They're really cool.
Are you running any kind of like filter into it, or is it just just a tent with no air circulation?
So the kit that I bought, I was on sale for a Black Friday kit, and it came with like an 8-inch duct with like the air filter, I guess, with the carbon filter for growing weed. I just flipped that around and put that outside, so I'm drawing air through the carbon filter and through that filter into the tent. Then I just keep my flow hood running 24/7 inside of the tent, and I've never had any open air contamination issues, anything like that. So I'm always working in front of my flow hood, so that gives me that. But on top of that, like, man, I just have fruiting blocks just sitting on probably the same Husky brand, shitty plastic Walmart shelving. And when I'm done with the grow, I take one spray bottle full of hydrogen peroxide and one spray bottle full of vinegar. And I spray down with vinegar, and then I spray down with the hydrogen peroxide. It makes that, peroxycetic acid or something like that. But it kills everything. Parasitic acid. Yeah. Yep. Oh. And it smells like death. You don't want to mix them in the same bottle because it's a chemical weapon at that point. But on the surface, because it doesn't last very long. It only lasts like maybe 5 or 10 minutes on the surface, but it kills everything, including DNA. It just murders everything, but then it just dries clear. It dries right by itself and breaks down to completely harmless substances. So it's not eating your tent. It's not eating any of your equipment. It's not rusting the crap out of anything. It works out really well, man. Like the 2 spray bottle method works out really well.
It's interesting. I recently had a unexpected occurrence using isopropyl alcohol where it stained the hardwood floor I was working in. I got it I was put it on my hands and it dripped on the hardwood floor.
They just got rid of the finish,
when
right?
It dried. Yeah, it left these white spots, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
Yep, time to move.
Yeah,
you can fix that with a little bit of like candle wax and a scrubby pad, and it'll even that back out. Yeah,
good to know.
Everybody comes here, I guess, for their hardwood floor treatment options. But yeah, I've fixed many fuck ups like that. We had these Naughty Pine hardwood floors where we had the old timey varnish on it. And anytime I spilled any like rubbing alcohol or something like that, it would just eat that little varnish in a tiny little hole and leave like a really light colored spot. And I'd just take a little candle wax, put it on there, and scrub it in.
Are we down to college dorm days where you put toothpaste on the wall to cover the holes and stuff?
Not quite. I've found that it's just easier to use the actual spackle. It's cheap. So, what do you?
Yeah.
What have you been doing in mycology since you haven't grown anything since November?
Yeah, mostly just keeping track with my Patreon, where I offer kind of a monthly spores through there. I mean, I have a big stockpile of spores that I worked on past 2 years, where I was, like I said, I was growing like 10 varieties at once at one point. So I just have been kind of just going through my inventory since I had a bunch. And that's basically all I've been doing. I recently just started making some new thumbnails for my YouTube channel, but largely it's my time has been focused around like just the move.
Right.
And yeah, I just haven't had a whole lot of mycology time. So
Yeah, we're getting ready to do the same exact thing with the spore prints. I actually have like, I want to say like 60 sheets. Each
Yeah.
sheet has like 20 prints on it. And it's like,
Yeah.
and they're all different. So every time I do it, I print almost everything. And I've been doing that for about 4 years now. So I've got quite a lot of prints sitting around.
Nice.
But
I followed a guide on Shroomery by Eat You Alive. He's got I think it's the tribal print method or something like that. But it's basically you just set a cookie sheet out with a layer of foil, and then you put like a wire rack on top of it, and then you put all your caps on the wire rack, and you can print like.
And then it's got the grids on there.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah, the prints come out gridded.
Yeah, I had this. I just use a big ass fucking tote. Throw a big nice piece of foil on the bottom, close the tote up, come back in 12 hours.
Yeah, I found when I was printing bulk prints directly on foil, I found that my success rate was going down for some reason. I guess the humidity was getting too high. Like a bunch of the prints just wouldn't print anything, and they just get all sweaty.
I have like a tester. I put a tester on a petri dish, and so I could actually pull that petri dish out, and then I hold it up, and I can see what's going on. So if I need to add or give it a layer, it's in front of the flow hood, anyways. So it's no big deal. But they either drop or they don't. If I have to give them an extra 12 hours, it's no big deal. But there's just way too many.
For?
Honestly, some of them are like 3 hours. That's why I came up with that petri dish thing. And now I just collect them. I have every single one I've ever done. They all have a couple I call them splates for my collection. So you hold them up, see them nice. But sometimes you leave them on there for between 6 and 12 hours. You come back, it's like a black fucking circle. And other times you can barely see it. So, like I said, it changes out. So that's why I always do that. The plate, so I can lift it up, see exactly what's going on, and I pull it when it's ready. It's nice to have something pretty, but I don't want it being so crusty that when you take it away and fold it up, it starts peeling away from the hydration of the foil and everything else. It just ruins it, and it starts going all over the place. So
I found that I put like a drop of water on the cap. It stimulates them. Yeah,
that works.
Yes, yeah, it definitely helps. The whole spore release mechanism is like little tiny water droplets that form on the basidium, and so if it gets too dry, they can't release spores, and if it's too humid, it actually requires evaporation to occur.
There's your $10 word of the day, Vicidium.
Yeah.
What did you just call me?
That's probably yeah, exactly. That was the fanciest word that's ever been used on this podcast.
I actually am looking to get a microscope this year because I've always been interested in looking at the basidiums of like the mutated varieties that don't release spores.
They don't drop, right?
Yeah, that don't drop, because I always thought, it's got to be some sort of mutation in the basidium or something. So I'm curious to take a look at that I'm sure I could probably find some people online's pictures, but there's nothing like looking at it yourself, you know.
Right. Yep. I've had a microscope forever. I've used it like twice because, it's there for microscopy purposes only. So
yeah,
you got to have one of those in the lab.
I use mine on a daily basis.
No one wants to hear about you jerking off.
Come on, man. Come on.
But yeah, so
I am planning to get one that has video on it though, so that I can like do it on the live streams.
Right. They have the eyepieces now. They can go on almost any microscope.
Yeah.
It's just an actual add-on. So that's all like $30-$40. It's fucking pretty sweet.
Nice.
Yeah, Nikon and Canon both make a ring system that fits on top of most microscopes. You can put your EOS digital camera on there with the record function and record in like 4K, 8K. It's cool shit.
And then you get extra zoom.
Oh, yeah. Most of them are like 2X, 4X. There's an 8X and a 16X, I believe, too.
Cool. So what's your genetics look like? How many what you up to?
Oh man, I literally have like a baseball card binder.
Nice, me too.
Literally, it is quite literally my baseball card binder from when I was a little kid. I had it in my storage, and one of my smallest binder that I never really finished out because I have like 5 binders of baseball cards, as any kid from the 80s and 90s probably does.
Hell yeah.
And so I just kind of emptied out one that had a bunch of sleeves that weren't totally filled and just stuffed them into the other binders. And so I have probably, I don't know, a dozen sheets of prints, with a lot of them having prints on both back and front. So I don't know what the numbers on that are, but I probably have a couple hundred varieties. But a lot of the prints are getting up in age. The library itself is going on 12 years old. So a lot of the prints, I'd say the oldest one actually was Brazil, which was going on 10 years, that I had in the collection, and actually germinated that last fall and grew it out. And
nice. I just did that like 3 days ago. Brazil. I was looking for shit in my library that I never hear anybody using anymore. So I made a couple monos, and I was doing the serial dilution. I did Cuba and Brazil and Argentina.
Nice.
Hey,
are you guys doing
around
anything...
the world grow one of these days?
Yeah. Are you guys doing anything special to rehydrate your spores when you get old ones? Because what I've done is I've taken and made a little spore syringe, and I put the cap on the spore syringe, and I pull back on the syringe, like in a vacuum, so that inside there the water's under a vacuum. Then I let go of the plunger, jams forward, and then I do that like 4 or 5 times, and just between the vacuum and the pressure rebound, I think it kind of rehydrates the spores. Really,
works just like one of those meat marinators. That's interesting.
That's what I do to wake them up, wake old ones back up. I had this old crusty fucking like foil that was wrapped up in, I think, butcher paper or wax paper that was just old, and it said like 92 on it, and it turned out to be just a rando just cube somebody found, but I mean, it was cool. It looked just like any other random golden teachers. It was nothing special, but it was cool. It worked.
I do have a couple methods that I use for helping old spores. Typically, if I'm just using fresh spores, I'll just dump a bunch of them on top of a plate. But if they're finicky, what I'll do is 2 methods. One is to place the spores on a plate, and then from the same plate, I'll cut a little like square or triangle and place that on top of the spores to make a little sandwich.
Yep.
That seems to help them just get have a little more moisture available to them.
Basically, tagging the spores.
Yeah. The other method is to just slice through the middle. I'll get the spores on an X-Acto blade enough to where I can visibly see it on the tip of the blade, so like a big clump, and I'll just slice it right through the middle so that the spores go like inside of the slit of the Agar.
Right.
And then
Sounds hot.
that way there's only like a single inoculation point, right? Yeah. So when you see it, if
Sounds
it's
hot.
growing from the very center, it's what you put there, and it's easy
Right.
to identify like satellites.
But the spores inside it.
Yes, mycology is very provocative.
Exactly.
Yeah, except you can't like use it as a pickup line. Like pickup lines in mycology are like, here, eat this. It's like...
Oh, I can't believe you ate that.
Yeah. Oh, it's gonna be great. I'm babysitting.
I told you, I'm making a dating site for mycology. mycologyonly.com. That's gonna be perfect.
mycologyonly.com.
Yeah, sponsor.
We have to make our own sponsors now. Is that what we're fucking down to?
That's what we're doing.
We're not getting sponsored by anybody else.
Hey, man, you could always try Blue Chew.
This is the first one that has gone this long without turning explicit. Like,
I'm sorry.
25 minutes is my record, I think.
I'm off my game today.
Yeah, like there's been no random furry conversations or anything in this. That's awesome.
Well, we made it a while anyway. We're getting better.
You're making your own agar. What's your special favorite go-to recipe?
So I several years ago came up with my own recipe. I pulled up some laboratory guides. I think one of them was from a pharmaceutical company, but at the time there was some recipes for potato dextrose agar from a pharmaceutical company, and like all the ratios were just weird, like 1.1 to 2.125, and I don't know. I can't remember exactly what they were, but I was like,
you don't go that deep.
yeah. I was like, this is too difficult to remember. I could make this easier by just reducing these ratios a tad. And so it came out to being 1, 2, 3. And that's, if I can remember correctly, 1 gram of dextrose, 2 grams of agar, and 3 grams of potato flakes. Oh man, now I have to look it up. I'm gaslighting myself. This is why I made it, because I can never remember it. But yeah, I came up with this recipe. I called it Agar as easy as 1, 2, 3, because of the ratio being 1, 2, 3. I gotta Google it. 1, 2, 3.
You're like, let me check my webpage.
1, 2, 3 to how much water?
Oh, that is 4 ounces of water. So it really goes well with the pasty plate tech, where you're using the little the Rubbermaid tubs, because those are little 4-ounce tubs, and so that ends up making one of them. So it's 1 gram of dextrose, which is honey or raw sugar, 2 grams of agar, 3 grams of potato flakes. I actually got it right from memory, even though I haven't cooked that in well over 6 or 7 months now. But that was the reason I made it, is because I could never remember the other recipes. And there was other agar recipes on Shroomery, but they were like 500 milligrams to 1 liter, and my brain just couldn't process those as well.
The fuck is a liter?
Yeah. It was like, what am I going to go out and buy one of those big Coca-Cola bottles to make agar?
Yeah. Now we do big. We use a Ellemeyer flasks and do like most of my agars, like 1,000 mils or a liter.
Dude, I do a press sugar full of quart jars. Each is a different color.
Yeah,
I definitely respect all that. Yeah, I'm like not a technically minded person. Like, I had to cheat my way through chemistry class in high school. All of my mycology stuff, it's like DIY basically. So I don't have a lot of science equipment. If you can't get it at a grocery store or at Walmart, then I usually don't use it.
Right.
Well, one thing we do find is that people that are in mycology have usually pretty technical hobbies. So what are the kind of hobbies you got?
Oh, definitely. I love photography. I have a big DSLR and a huge telephoto lens, and I geek out over wildlife photography a lot.
Nice.
Yeah, and let's see. I'm trying to narrow. I have way too many hobbies. I'm just trying to think of.
Don't we all? Don't we all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have one.
They just shift from every month to month. What's that?
Just mycology. That's it. That's all I do all day.
That's been the one.
I can name a few of his hobbies, but he'd be going to jail.
Yeah.
Sexual harassment.
Those aren't
Sexual
hobbies.
harassment. Oh,
Making fun of
What do
people's
you-
disabilities, you know.
you made it into an art form.
Yeah. I could say that's not a hobby. That's an art form.
I was
You
I
will
was
be
showing off.
graded.
I was showing off my mycology diary. You know, where you write down all your little tricks and recipes, and keep track of everything you do. And all Deadpool could talk about was the fact that it was pink.
You can't see
Yeah.
the fucking color. It doesn't matter what color it is. So
It matters to everybody else.
that doesn't matter to Trim. Trim's colorblind, so it doesn't matter if it's pink.
Hey, it was a
orange, or
cool book, and it said "Feel Your Feels" on the front. What better thing for mycology?
Yeah. It was pink.
Yeah,
It
okay.
was fucking
Yeah,
pink.
you should have known if it said feelings on it. It was going to be
Yeah.
like pink.
Yeah.
Feel your
It
feelings.
had stickers
That's a
inside it.
fucking
Girl
emo.
power and
That's a.
stuff.
It probably had emo freaking stickers on
Did
there.
it have a picture of Jukebox on a cover? Did it have a picture of
Or like
Juke on the front?
Avril Lavigne, like with their like
It-
runny makeup.
I believe it has
Just-
emojis. You're correct. A lot of emojis on it.
Yeah.
Little picture of Kirby on the front. Yeah.
Don't get me started on that shit. I thought that dude was a chick for the longest damn time
Yeah.
because of the pink avatar. And
I
just, like,
refuse to
all the
change back. I
emotions.
still
Yeah.
refuse.
I still refer to her as her.
Jukebox is another member of our Discord that they tease on when I'm not around.
Yeah.
He's low hanging fruit. It's like kicking a puppy, but like a puppy that pees everywhere. It's like a puppy with a very special puppy.
It's a
Excellent.
puppy with needs, special needs.
Yeah, I'm gonna fucking burn in hell for kicking a special needs puppy.
Right.
So back to topic here.
Yeah, where's the goat bleed of randomness? Nobody had it queued up today.
Yeah,
I know. I have.
we need one that just says, "Let's get back on top."
A fucking
Oh,
ad on
shit,
YouTube.
yeah.
Fucking things.
Okay, that's sweet.
So,
You did-
Munchauzen, MelMak,
Yeah.
you were kind of famous for that for a while. What's the story behind that?
It was gifted to me as a clone, to be honest. The TP culture, I don't know how widely available that is. I've never really looked into it too much. I don't know if there was anyone else really spreading genetics of that besides myself.
I got that.
Yeah, either TP or thick penis, as it was
Thick
known.
penis, yeah.
I get used to abbreviating everything because I'm on YouTube and I try to self-censor myself so that I don't get demonetized. So
That's the edible earth fungi. It's the MelMak ISO.
yeah, it was the MelMaks. MelMaks go back to like the 90s, when they had grow kits, and that's actually when I actually got started with like a head shop grow kit. And I think it quite possibly might have been a Homestead one. But I just got the spores from it. My buddy in college had bought a grow kit from our head shop, our local pipe
Right.
place. Super seedy joint. Actually, it was like a normal hippie store upstairs with like a just clothing and everything, and then they have this like shady curtained stairwell to this like basement room that's
Ooh, that
dimly
sounds
lit,
fun.
where they had all
That
the
sounds
pipe.
fun.
They had all the pipes and like all these rules. You weren't allowed to call them anything except like tobacco pipes, and it was all very strange. But they had
That's
mushroom
very
grow
90s.
kits.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very 90s.
Yeah.
I still do that
Oh,
now. I have to go when I used to buy cigarettes. We get the Indian cigarettes here at the Arab stores, and you have to go in there and ask for green Skittles, and they give you a pack of the cheap green ones for $5 instead of $20 for a pack of cigarettes.
nice.
Interesting.
They still do that shit today.
It's like modern day speakeasy. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, it's me, Black Ass. Black Ass.
You gotta know the code and the special knock.
Right.
But yeah, like I was saying, the Homestead grow kits, I got started with that. I think it was like a B+ though. But fast forward, 15 years or whatever it was, I got gifted several cultures one year, just kind of as a show of goodwill, I guess, from an AMU member. If you're not familiar with AMU, it was a small group we had on Shroomery. It was called Amateur Mycologists United, and it was just a little grow group of buddies. We don't really do much together anymore, besides answer questions
Too busy
on a few
picking on new
threads.
kids.
Probably a few members are out there, but I mean, we had it was like me and Pasty White and 13 Shrooms and Chroniker, a bunch of other Shroomery regulars, and I can't remember exactly who it was. I think it might have been Buddha King. Gifted me a whole bunch of stuff, and that included the TP culture. And I grew that out once, and it was like this roller coaster of emotions growing it out, because for starters, it took quite a long time to pin. So I was just getting anxious waiting for it to pin. And then when it did pin, like the pin set looked like bad. I was like, oh, I'm going to get a handful of fruits from each tub. And then as it progressed and the fruits grew to like the size of like plantains or like extra large bananas, I'm just like,
Right.
oh, that's how these work. You don't get a pin set that covers the surface. You get a small pin set, and then they just grow into monsters.
Oh.
And I
Nice.
threw, I think the first run, I did like 4 monotubs of that and got like wall-to-wall dicks and was just like, what is this culture? And just started neglecting everything else, because
That's a good Friday night there.
Yeah,
this
this was amazing. And so on my old YouTube channel, the one that got deleted, I did a bunch of MelMak giveaways where I would just show video clips of like my current MelMak grows, or just pick a handful and like make a bouquet and be like spore giveaway. And so I spread a lot of spores through the old YouTube channel that way.
Wow.
But unfortunately, I got taken down. I think a lot of those MelMak videos contributed to that. They do not like harvesting videos.
So is that where the trend in mycology lately for boofing came from?
Oh, that's always just been on Reddit, and I don't know where that started. It's just always been on Reddit from what I've seen. And it's just like every single thread.
Oh, it doesn't matter what you say. Just boof it.
Yeah.
Some strange people out there.
I never saw that on Shroomery.
You're the one that said it, Trim. You said it.
I never
think
said
it's
I wasn't
because
one of the strange ones, but yeah.
vaguely penis-like. Vaguely penis-like mushrooms, and everybody just wants to see a, penis go in an orifice.
It just makes you wonder how many people have actually tried that, thinking that's a real thing.
God, I hope a whole bunch. I really do. Because I imagine just people trying to shove this dry-ass fucking crinkly mushroom up their anus, and it's just not going to be pleasant.
Yeah, I've never thought that at all, ever, in my entire life. And that should be saying something, because I'm fucked up in the head. You guys are like No, every day. This is what I dream of.
Never underestimate the human power of stupidity. I'm telling you.
Never underestimate what people will put up their rectums. Jesus Christ. I've had whole light bulbs, like whole compact fluorescent fucking light bulbs. Had to have those removed from people's anuses. It's not cool.
I did grow some MelMaks that 2 big ones grew end to end. So it was like that scene from Requiem for a Dream. You know, the guy's like ass to ass. Big double-ended MelMak dick.
That's for a party.
What's the story on the genes of MelMak? Is it just a random mutation from a golden teachers, or what is it?
No, you said earlier it's from Homestead
Yeah.
PE.
Yeah, it's the original PE genetics from. I don't recall the original story on PE. I think there was one myth that it was found in the rainforest growing like that, and then there was another story I heard where it was like irradiated by some mycologist out, blasting them with radiation somehow. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and then I think Hamilton did a show where the guy says he invented it, but I don't.
Yeah, you're right.
Is that true or not?
Is it? Yeah, I thought it was. Yeah, I was gonna say I thought it was the B plus, and they went ahead and they just chased down the one that looks like a fucking schlong, and kept going with that.
Yeah. The guy on the interview said that he got it from cloning pins or aborts. That's where he said.
I never put much faith in Hamilton's show.
Oh
to
yeah,
be honest.
you got to look at it for the entertainment value.
He contacted a bunch of us many years ago before the show was like as big as it is now. He contacted a bunch of us on Shroomery looking to get footage, but you now see where he interviewed someone that is in like a full-on bodysuit, like Breaking Bad style, and he has
with the eyeball mask.
With the eyeball mask? Yep.
Yeah. So that was the interview he got out of when he was trying to court a bunch of Shroomery members, and we all were like, no way. And so he found that dude, and it was just like, that wasn't the best grower out there. Sure, he had a sizable setup, but I don't know, his practices weren't, the best. And so it just made me realize, he's portraying this guy on this show as like a real expert. And I'm like, I could improve this guy's setup easily.
Yeah, no.
And so when I see stuff on Hamilton's show that I'm not familiar with, I just kind of am a little skeptical, because I know when he showed mushroom stuff, it was like he didn't have really a super good expert on.
Well, because I'm pretty sure that the super good experts are smart enough not to go on to fucking
Exactly.
Hamilton.
But yeah, it's kids that want to get recognition and still have an ego to contend with.
Yeah.
Well, we just like having people from, all walks of life that are just in mycology in general come on and talk to them. We've had some pretty cool experts. We've had some great people like you, but we've had some just absolute, complete, total random people.
Yeah. High as fuck, barely talking on here.
Yeah. It's like, sorry, man, I'm kind of couch locked right now. Why did you agree to come on, bro?
Yeah, but we like to represent all walks. I mean, it's kind of
it's good. Everybody. I only have had a handful of guests on my live streams, but they did range in experience from pretty new to pasty white. So I do enjoy having a broad perspective, because you get way different questions. The conversation's way different.
Right.
I need to do my pasty white grow one of these days. He personally challenged me to grow an entire couch full of rusty whites someday. I'm going to do it.
You totally should. Have you seen his bathtub grow of rusty whites?
That's how the conversation got started. I was chatting with him one day, and he's like, "You want to do something special? Grow an entire couch full." I was like, I bet I could do that.
Nice.
Wait, you're just gonna stuff like a couch?
Yeah, he wants me to like remove all the stuffing from the couch and fill it full of spawn, and let
that's gonna be
rusty
so
white
terribly ugly. It's so disturbing looking.
And then it drops a bunch of spores on it. You got to get a white couch so you can see the spores drop.
There you go.
I've done a stuffed animal before, and it was like, I think it was a stuffed koala. there's a picture of me with a koala mask on, where I took like all the stuffing out of the koala and like made a mask out of it for Halloween. Well, I used that same koala and made it. Grew mushrooms on it, and it looked disturbing as hell. Like it was having shit just come out like all over through the fur.
Yep. My only the only thing that has stopped me from doing that growth so far is every mycologist problem. Not enough space, but I'm gonna fix it someday. You wait and see.
It might be worth renting
That's
a storage unit to just do a giant sofa.
If I rent a storage unit, it's going to have 5 shelves on there and about 50 fucking totes. So,
I wonder if I could cheat.
I
wonder if I could cheat and do like a love seat.
Yeah, it is the climate-controlled storage units.
Climate controlled. Oh wow,
yeah,
okay.
They're like $200 a month, but people grow in them.
Well, that'd be perfect. $200 a month. Damn, you get a 10 by 10 new tent. Just bring everything there in your tub to the back of your truck. Come back.
Yeah.
I gotta say though, that rusty one.
They usually have a
perfect one.
They usually have a light bulb.
Aggressive.
So they usually those storage units usually have a light bulb in them, and you can just unscrew the freaking light bulb and then put back in one of the light bulbs with the power
receptacle.
Power socket. Yeah. Smart.
Run your flow hood and shit like that from there. Not that I've ever done that. Ever.
Never.
No. That would be, sketchy.
That's some renegade mycology.
Right? So that's a gorilla grow right there.
That's when you grow in somebody else's shit and they don't even know you did it. Hey, hold on to these bags for me.
Yeah.
I've been meaning to get into, when the weather is right in my area, I've been meaning to get into some gorilla mycology. If you've ever seen like the Crime Pays but Botany Doesn't guy doing gorilla gardening. He always goes around to like his cities, like planting beds and like plants trees and like removes the stuff that shouldn't be there.
Gerald does that every weekend.
I do it with Liberty Caps. I'm probably the reason there's Liberty Caps all over Austin. Because Liberty Caps grow in that area anyway, but I would get these. I'd go and harvest a bunch of them and then blend them up in a bucket. When I put in a little bit of like what was my recipe? It was just basically like LC, but
LC.
I'd have liquid culture in the bucket, but I'd have like a little bit of buttermilk in there as well for just the acidity of it. And I'd put it in a Camelback after it started getting a little bit, after a day or so with the bubbler in there. And then I'd just go around and just squirt it into the beds that they have full of the wood chips for like the roses that they have downtown and around the trees and in the gardens. And because they have these big, beautiful like garden areas, but they're just full of just wood chips that the county goes and cuts down all these oak trees and everything and shreds them, and then they use that as the bedding for all the plants there in Austin. And you can just walk around and squirt during a nice little shower or right after a good rain and just squirt some liquid culture just casually all over the place.
Yeah,
I've
seen people try that with spores, and I've always said you should at least try liquid culture if you want a chance. So that's cool.
Oh man, it works.
As long as you're doing a natural one already, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
It's made. You're not gonna take a PE, or a fucking yak or something that fucking someone's been playing with in the lab for the last 5 years. That's never gonna.
I've done it with morels. Morels work really well that way.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
And,
so
if you put on a reflective vest, you can do just about anything.
Fuck yeah! I was gonna say I wasn't gonna tell him. I was like, hey, I'm the guy with the Camelback and the reflective vest and a hard hat, spraying for bugs. But
I have a metal clipboard that when I go to places like that I've always felt is good. But a reflective vest is good too.
Yeah,
the clipboard.
Clipboard.
The clipboard was my secret when I was in the Army. I mean, if you carry a clipboard around, nobody wants to talk to you in the military.
Right.
Because you're about to go on a detail and nobody wants to fuck with that. We don't want to get voluntold.
Mm-hmm.
But to grow to do the morels, I would take the morels, like preferably fresh ones. But if you had dried ones, you could use dried ones as well. And I'd blend them up with a mixture of about 50-50 water and just the buttermilk. You want it pretty freaking acidic. And then I just blend it up, throw a bubbler in there, let it sit for 24 hours, and then slosh that around the trees wherever you want it. And come back in, a year, and you've got morels wherever the water hit. It grow. You can culture morels outside very easily like that. And now they've got growing indoor morels down to an art form with refrigeration and using ryegrass. But it's outdoors growing any sort of wild mushrooms can be using the same tech. It's just blended up with buttermilk, because buttermilk's got, it's got beneficial bacteria that are going to outcompete temporarily the local bacteria, lower the pH, which mushrooms don't mind, and provide plenty of food for that mycelium as it goes. It's pretty cool. It works really well.
What's your favorite way to cook them? The morels.
Morels? I make butter out of them quite often and salt, because it goes the furthest, and I get them so very rarely. Like here, they don't really grow unless you intentionally grow them, because I'm in Texas. Yeah. But
I like the garlic butter and saute them. Oh, they're so good. They do grow here. It's one of the few things we get up here in Canucastan.
Yeah, you should try the bucket sloshing stuff, man. I mean, it really goes.
I have a couple of plates of morel mycelium right now.
It really does work. Like, it really does expand it massively.
When I first started
buying, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, when I first started culturing them, their mycelium looks nothing like any other kind I've ever seen. It's really thin and wispy, and it looks like cobweb.
Like lion's mane?
Yeah.
It's worse than lion's mane. It's worse. I thought I had cobwebs.
Strange. I had, I think I had some morels, and I don't remember if it was black or yellows, but the culture I had, it was almost like dusty looking.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, they're just weird.
They work better if you grow them like, if you're going to culture the mycelium outside of a, like Petri dish, if you do it kind of like sclerotia, where you do it in grass seed, it works way better, guys. Like,
I'm sure. Yep.
For grain spawn, like.
Yeah. I'm lucky I was able to get a culture. Them things are so tasty. It's hard to give up any to science. They're my favorite mushroom ever to eat.
Yeah. The only ones I find with any regularity are shaggy manes, and those are like, I think, as far as taste wise, those are up there with morels. But I like to make like a cream of shaggy mane soup. That stuff is so good. But apparently you can cultivate shaggies indoors, so that's a goal that I have set for when I get my operation up and running again, is to grow some indoor shaggy manes.
I have that. I just figured it was just another lion's mane.
Shaggies are a type of ink cap, aren't they?
Yes.
No.
Yes, they're
They don't
ink cap.
What?
Yeah. They will do.
Yeah, they autolysp down to like this black goo very quickly.
Yeah, and I've seen people take like milk jugs and just stuff the caps into an empty milk jug, let them turn to goo, and then they fill the rest with water, and then go, pour that around a yard somewhere.
Oh,
it works.
Last fall, I harvested some shaggies, and I had them in a paper sack, and I just went in my lab and I set them on my stainless table, and then I went and did something, and I forgot about them. I came back the next day, and my whole lab table was just covered in black goo.
Yeah.
How'd that smell?
It wasn't too bad, but it was just nasty. It took a while to clean up.
Yeah, they just turn to goo to go back to the ground. They don't. It doesn't smell bad.
If you harvest them before they start the auto cannibalizing thing, and refrigerate them, you can stop the process, and they'll last a few days.
I did not know that shaggy mane was an ink cap.
Well, it's not the same ink cap that's going to cause you to puke if you drink alcohol.
Right. It's different.
But that one's the one that I find the most regularly, is is the inky cap regular puke if you drink alcohol one.
Well, now I have to throw it out.
When I find those, I usually stop and look around the area because when I find the regular ink caps, the shaggy manes usually aren't far away.
My favorite, the inky cap, the puke if you drink alcohol inky cap is my favorite mushroom in the entire world. Not only do they taste great, but they're great for punking people. I'm a terrible human being. I've gone to many AA meeting and put the inky cap powder in the coffee. So see who's lying. Give me your ticket. Give me your little, what is it? The little coin. Give me your coin. You're puking. You're puking. You're puking. You're liars.
That's mean.
I'm not the nicest, best person in the world. I'm nobody's role model. Definitely.
I had never considered the possibilities of using it as something to prank people with.
Yes. High school parties.
Or even the thought of dehydrating a shaggy mane. I just didn't even consider it.
Yeah, it works. But I have freeze dryers, so it makes it easier.
Oh, no shit.
They do. Yeah. Well, I didn't buy freeze dryers for mycology. My wife makes this freeze dried baby food and sells it.
Okay.
And like freeze dried candy and all sorts of shit. But when they're not running for doing that kind of thing, then I'll freeze dry all sorts of shit, like freeze dried lion's mane, freeze dried reishi, and just whatever I got on hand at the moment, I'll freeze dry it.
Am I the only one that realizes how weird Farrell says that shit? Reishi?
I'm from Texas.
You're not.
I've heard it pronounced a lot of ways. I don't even care anymore. Same with like Agar.
Yeah.
Whatever.
That's what I've heard. I've never heard the reggae.
Well, I don't have your Canuckastani accent. I'm sorry.
I'm from Florida. So I have quite a mixture. I'm like a mutt.
Yeah. Well, you've adapted quite well to the north and hockey stick and bears and shit.
They deserve it. Don't fuck on my dog.
It's pretty fun. So I tried to grow this blue milk cap mushroom. I guess it's like a blue milky cap. And it did not work out for me. But it was just a gorgeous mushroom. Somebody sent me spore prints of it. They're like, hey, see if you can cultivate this. Because it was like it's an edible mushroom. But I don't remember if it looks like blue jeans. Like it's a color of like faded blue jeans. And they're like, oh, it's real good to eat. But see if you can grow it. And that, as far as wild mushrooms, I don't know what the secret was for that one, but I couldn't get it to even do anything on Agar. I think I sent spores to somebody else. Who did I send spores to? Yeah,
I got them.
I couldn't get it to do shit. Like as far as it would grow a little bit and then die, and then I've tried just a ton of different Agar recipes, and I couldn't get to do anything. There's some secret there.
Have you ever grown either chicken of the woods or hen of the woods?
I've made it and then poured it on things, like so. I've done the same kind of mixture in a 5-gallon bucket and poured it on things trying to get to grow places. It does grow here where I'm at, and it's pretty easy to find. But I've not intentionally cultivated it.
Either.
So,
I have not either on that one.
Like
it's
lion's mane
native here.
Yeah, lion's mane's native here. It's pretty common. Pretty much all of pretty much everything is. I'm trying to think of like more stuff that might be weird that nobody else has. We find those. What is that one that grows in a big old giant knot up there on the top, and people it smells like death.
Chaga.
Yeah, it seems terrible. I don't know why.
Only on bird trees.
Who decided to fucking eat that? Like, it's not a pleasant thing.
The same person that decided to take a mushroom out of a pile of shit, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it's not like something that I would actually hunt down to eat. It's not pleasant, but I guess it's healthy for you.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of websites selling like certain gourmet cultures that I didn't think were easily to cultivate indoors or just at all, even like some mycorrhizal ones. Yeah, I've seen, like Mayatakis
Mycorrhizal, they usually
online.
need to be in a LC and then like dehydrated and shit.
Well, in my experience, people will sell you anything you want, whether you can grow it or
Yeah.
not, it's up to
That's
you.
a good point.
Right.
Yeah, I guess that's right.
Like
People
I've
will
grown
sell any culture.
as far as a fun, interesting edible mushroom is enoki, like the Japanese real
right
tall
out of
little
the top of the
bastards.
bottles with a collar.
Oh, that's cool as shit, man. Those are fun to grow.
Yeah.
Those are cool.
I actually found some wild enokis like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. Yeah, we had some decent weather where it was getting like 55 degrees during the day, and so I was out hiking and there was like a little patch where the snow had melted, and I found a fresh patch of wild enokis popping up. So I had to make a mental note because I wanted to go back and clone them.
Yeah, they're great.
Nice.
The bottle tech or the jar tech kind of form reminds me of like growing your own little like chia pet.
Yeah.
They're great. They're delicious. They're great.
Do you know if you grow from a wild clone, do they turn into like those white thin ones like you see at the store, or do they stay like the thick brown ones that you see in the wild?
That's just dependent on fresh air and
Environmental.
light. Yeah. So
Okay.
the ones at the store, you grow them underneath hay, and you pile the hay up as they keep trying to get taller, and you're cutting the air down to them and the light down to them, and that's why they get real tall and thin.
Oh, okay.
So it's the same thing. It's the same thing with the bottle. Is that you have the spawn down in the bottom of the bottle, and you wrap it with like construction paper or something, and you open the top like once a day just to get a burst of fresh air in there, and then put the top back on, and then once they reach the top of the bottle, you take the top off the bottle and let them finish growing up. And
No,
then you
now they
cut 'em
put
before-
collars on there. They put a collar around the top of the bottle, so they have to grow that 4 inches through the collar. And that's why they
they're
get those
going more.
Yeah, so they get those nice long little stems, or about 2-3 inches, with all the small caps. So they get those little clusters, just popping, cutting them right off the top of the bottle.
I've done them in. You know what a diaper genie is? Does anybody know what a diaper genie is?
Yes,
I do.
Yeah. So that diaper genie, the refills of it are stupid cheap on Amazon. But I've made giant log rolls of stuff in those, like to inoculate them, like stuff it full of hay and straw, and do like huge wreaths of like gourmet mushrooms. Like you grow your all of your different trumpets out of it, all your different lion's mane out of that. It's really cool looking. It grows in like a perfect circle. But I've stuffed them, just tied the bottom, like do like a 2-foot section, just stuff a bunch of hay down there and grain spawn and grown the enokis in that, and then just put like a hairband around the top of it and just kind of blow it up a little bit with just air, and then just set them in corners around, and just had like, little tall containers that I could just dispose of whenever because they break down. So
That's nice. I mostly have almost always just grown cubes. I've had a few forays into some stone producers, but my gourmet experience is severely lacking. I've done like some oyster grows and like a reishi grow and a tiny lion's mane grow in some bottles, but I definitely need
oysters
to
love hay. They love hay. Love it. It's so fast and easy to grow a shitload of oysters on hay. Now you're not going to get like if you grow them on a wood-based substrate, you'll get multiple flushes. But if you grow them on hay, you're going to get one really big flush. So hay is stupid cheap, and just throw it in a diaper genie, man. Or you can just boil it a little bit, throw it in the diaper genie, tie the top off, throw it in a grain spawn, roll it around a little bit, just shake it, put it somewhere, and in 2 weeks, poke a hole. And you're going to have huge flushes.
That sounds more ideal. The way I was doing it was with wood mulch. I used Scott's wood mulch straight out of a bag into a Kroger grocery bag, and then I'd dump spawn in it and tie them up and poke, layer it, and then poke holes in it. And yeah, I would get multiple flushes, but they'd be pretty small. And so it just kind of got annoying after like a month of babysitting the tub, just picking a few fruits every now and then. I think I'd much rather have just one big flush. So I wonder if I could just do the
one big
straw in
flush.
my grocery bags like that, because I don't have a diaper genie.
Yeah, you could. You don't even need the actual like diaper genie. You can just buy the refills, because the refills have the ring on them already built in.
Okay.
And yeah, they're like $3 or $4 on Amazon, and you get like 21 feet of freaking like perfectly made tube. Like it's great. I love them. I've done cubes in a diaper genie. So everybody else that's listening out there that wants another fun grow challenge, cubes in a diaper genie is really, really fun. Just bucket tech your stuff, and then layer in there your spawn, your substrate, everything like that, and do a log. And then you just go through with like a pencil later on and just poke a bunch of holes, and everything grows up through the holes. But it grows. It's pretty cool to be able to draw like a giant circle of cubes, like a cube ring. You can sit in the middle of it.
Nice.
There's a name for that, like a fairy ring or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
I was going to say that's an idea for a mycology challenge is do the baby tech grow where you're doing all baby stuff, because I know like Chroniker did Agar in baby bottles once. We
have guys, we did diaper Agar. Yeah. We made Agar out of diapers. Wow. Because the diaper, that was part of our Apocalypse Mycology podcast that we just did. Was like, all right, collapse of civilization, make your mushrooms go. And so we were talking about using the water gel that's in the diapers, adding nutrients. Yeah, adding a little nutrients to it and making agar out of that. So now we got a whole bunch of people like, oh, well, what if we just took that diaper with the agar and everything, inoculated the agar straight into the side of the freaking rehydrated diaper, and then stuffed it full of grain spawn and shit, just brooded the diaper. So now we've got people. When we got people looks like folded up shitty diapers that are just growing fucking cubes everywhere.
Interesting.
Man, I love hearing about those wild methods.
Yeah. So we got
use what you got. We got
the diaper tech. But yeah, you can do the diaper genie thing is pretty cool, man. You gotta give that a try if you're gonna do gourmets. It's so fast and easy. So start to finish is like 2 weeks. So
nice,
real fast. You can hang them vertically too. That's how they do the big cut, like those really big commercial grows, is they use a tube. Like
those things are like 50 pounds. The diaper genie's gonna hold that kind of weight.
Surprisingly, yeah.
Nice.
Like I've had it before where I've been gone for 3 days to work and come home, and there was a diaper genie that was like fucking like 14 feet full of fucking diapers and shit. And I was like, dude, this thing's gonna explode. Hell no. They made that shit out of some strong ass plastic. It's not like weak plastic. It's the kind of harder. I don't know how to explain it. It's everybody that's ever seen. Yeah, everybody that's ever seen it will be able to feel it's a crinkly, like super strong plastic, almost like kind of like PVC plastic, kind of,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's real strong. So you can hang it. Yeah, you can hang you probably do 10-foot sections really, really easily. Just hang it up in the corner of your room, and then let it sit for 2 weeks. When it turns all nice and solid, just grab a pencil and poke a couple of holes, and you're gonna get huge flushes of pink oyster or anything out of there.
I'm looking right now. You can actually get a 3-pack for $15.
I told you it's like $5, and each one's like 21 feet. It's cheap as shit, man. It's pretty cool. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it right here in the wife's office.
You have you eat a lot of edibles, I'm guessing, or a lot of gourmet mushrooms. I'm curious to know, do you wash your mushrooms with water or with a brush?
I find that if you grow in straw, you don't need to. They don't come out with anything on them, like at all.
The only ones that grow on shit are going to be the buttons. Everything else.
What if they're store-boughts? Hypothetically, you're buying some grown on compost, would you wash them with water or a brush?
Both.
I'd wash them with water. I'd rinse them really fast with water, and I shake them like as I do it.
And a
And
colander
then,
is what I do.
Yeah, in a colander, and then I cook them.
And wild mushrooms, I like to soak them in a little bit of salt water for a little while just to get any bugs or anything out of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
I asked because just like this past week, I saw there was like a new Gordon Ramsay video on YouTube about mushrooms. And again, he's still talking about never use water on your mushrooms. They deteriorate incredibly fast once you do. And I'm just like, what? No, they don't. Like, why is professional chef still repeating this nonsense about not using water on mushrooms?
They do, but from a professional chef standpoint, where they might get this bulk amount of mushrooms in and then sell them over the week. Yeah, you don't want to get them wet because over
and plus they absorb the water as well.
Yeah, they absorb the water and become mushy, but that'll be like day 3. That won't be 10 minutes before you cook them.
Right.
Little known fact, I used to work at a mushroom farm in a past life, and some of the mushrooms there we actually washed. We had a mixture of hydrogen peroxide and something called EDTA that we mixed in with the water to keep them from spoiling after the wash.
Okay, well that's good to know.
Nice.
Huh.
Little tidbit for you there.
Trim with some inside information.
Yeah, I used to live next door to a mushroom farm, and I'd go over there and buy like lion's manes to eat every weekend. But yeah, it was a pretty big operation. They had like a discard pile that was like the size of a football field.
Wow. I found that
rows.
I used to grow lion's mane and sell it for people to eat, and I used to eat it myself. But I found that it is worth way more dehydrated and turned into capsules, or sold as the powder.
Yeah,
it's worth like 4 to 5 fucking times as much as you could sell it for. Like way more, because everybody right now is. Have you seen the newest stuff coming out about like they've actually done real studies this time, like double blind, the whole 9 yards about neurogenesis in the lion's mane.
Really?
So it's no longer.
No, I haven't heard about this.
It's no longer just speculation or private studies, but now they've done actual real studies with measurable results.
And it wasn't just by Paul Stamets.
No,
yeah,
they've actually done real legit studies now, and so people are starting to now prescribe it for things like Alzheimer's, dementia, memory loss, and there's a big rush right now in elderly healthcare to get all these new patients that they have on lion's mane and like double, triple extracts and stuff like that. So its value now has gone up to the point where it's almost worth it to me to start growing it again in bulk.
I actually just, 3 days ago, I started doing the lion's mane again because I got a couple people asking for the orders for the dry.
Yeah. So the best way to do, I found, quick little side note on the lion's mane, is choke it the shit out. No fresh air. Leave it the fuck alone in the bag until the entire bag turns a big white mess. Not just a wispy mess, a big white mess. And then it takes a little bit longer to do it, but you'll get way bigger flushes, big, huge flushes. I've got pictures of like the lion's mane coming off of like a 5-pound block of substrates. It's the size of one of those small, like personal heaters you plug in the wall, the little metal ones. It's like, I got a 5-pound block of substrate, and I got like a 3-pound block of freaking lion's mane coming off of it.
Nice.
It's as big as my kid's head, So it likes to be choked out, and then just as soon as you give it some fresh air, it'll burst out of there super fast. And then once it's grown in one spot, it doesn't like to grow back that big, pretty head in that same spot. So you just take your piece of tape, cover up that hole, rotate the bag 180 degrees, cut a new hole.
And what are you growing those on? Softwoods or hardwoods or
hardwood?
Yeah. So the I guess feral version of his gourmet mix is 70% cheap as shit hardwood pellets, specifically the oak brand
Tractor Supply.
Yeah, well, carried by Walmart too. It's oak and hickory blend. It's like $7 for a 40-pound bag of pellets for like your just like your pellet stove outside your grill barbecue, and then the rest of that is 30% rabbit food, just the alfalfa rabbit food.
Okay.
Yeah, because alfalfa breaks down to tricantanol, which is a growth hormone that works really well for plants, and that's how you use alfalfa to feed your garden and make these beautiful roses and beautiful tomatoes. But it also works for your mushrooms as well. It also has the nitrogen, the calcium, potassium, magnesium, and everything else that a growing mushroom needs. So I'll take my substrate and I'll make a boil a pot of water. I'll add coffee to that water. I'll add erythritol to that water, a little bit of magnesium, a little bit of sulfur, and I'll use that hot water to just rehydrate all of my alfalfa pellets, because alfalfa pellets take a bit more to rehydrate. And I'll use the wet as hell, like just scooped out of there with a like a Rubbermaid bucket, alfalfa pellets to rehydrate my hardwood pellets. Right? Because the hardwood pellets, you get a drop of water on them and they just go poof. They're rehydrated.
Little known fact, Feral uses a electric cement mixer to do all this. So.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
So it makes it a lot easier. I do have a cement mixer. I love it to death. And I do mix everything in the cement mixer because it's really, really fast. They're like $100 at Harbor Freight, $100.
And he recommends buying it in kit form. Am I correct?
No, fuck that shit. No, don't ever buy the floor model. Don't buy the stupid kit, because if you just let them load, we'll put it in the back of your truck for you. You think you're getting something that comes in 2 or 3 pieces? Shit, no. Part of the instructions on the damn box are using the supplies provided, manufacture a mounting bracket for the motor, and you're like, what the? It requires
so you got to do like some welding and whatnot.
No, mostly metal bending, which is. Yeah, it's like they give you
at
a
least
big
in Farrell's model, there's a lot of metal bending.
Yeah, they give you a big flat piece of metal. Then you're like, how is this a engine mount? Well, it has like a score line on it. And you're supposed to like bend it in a vise or something. And I'm like, well, I don't have that, so I just used the hitch on my truck to bend it. But it worked. But I would just buy the floor model. The price isn't any different. Or pay him $20 to put together. But screw that, dude. It took like 9 hours to put the damn thing together.
Jesus.
It came in like 280 fucking pieces. I'm not even joking. I didn't know you could make a cement mixer out of that many pieces. But it was not fun.
I love it when random people in my life walk in with several boxes and say, hey, look, I bought this X furniture. Put it together real quick.
Yeah, right.
Well, the whole thing moves, right? So it's not like it was stationary. If it was a piece of furniture, it would have been easy because you could have put something together and leave it there. But it's on this big planetary gear, right? So as soon as you let go of a piece, it flips upside down and starts spinning and throws all the bolts out. So you have to have 2 people, one person to hold everything steady and one person to bolt it together. So it wasn't pleasant. I would definitely.
Can you just walk in there and ask for the floor model?
Yes, actually you can, and they will sell it to you every single time.
All right.
So that's why I'm saying buy the damn floor model. It doesn't cost you a dime difference. It's already
everything's
ready to
negotiable. It's a scene on Breaking Bad when he buys the floor model apartment. I just watched it like last night.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, all they do is they have a group of people that just put shit together in the back room, right? So it's not like you're just causing somebody else a headache, but they get paid to do it. So they probably put together 200 of them. They could do it pretty quick. Yeah. But there's entire Facebook groups dedicated to putting those stupid Harbor Freight cement mixers together because they're such a pain in the ass.
Oh, man. I got banned off Facebook many years ago. I haven't been on it in quite some time.
Yeah, just
not for anything mycology related, though.
But you could. So anyway, back to how I rehydrate the substrates. I use the wet, sopping wet, just water dripping out of them, alfalfa, and I just scoop that into my bag of the hardwood pellets until it's hydrated. At that point, and everybody's like, well, how would you measure your water? Fuck no, I just told you how I did it. How do you know when it's wet enough? Because it is, right?
Yeah.
Like, grab a fistful of it and squeeze as hard as you can. You should get no more than 2 or 3 drops of water out of it. And if you've got it to there, you're done. That's it. Back it up and go.
I think that's one of my more frustrating experiences trying to educate people online with mycology is people just want sometimes
Exacts.
specific information. Yeah, exact information when you shouldn't be using exacts or specifics. Like this
Like,
is
guys,
You
you're
never
not
know what
making a
those
fucking
pellets were
cake.
stored at. You don't know what kind of
Yeah.
vibrations actually already in them.
Oh, everybody's
It
like,
changes. Use your fucking head.
yes.
yeah, I get asked that shit. Okay, well, how many milliliters of water do I put per block? And I'm like,
What's a milliliter?
Yep.
Some. And people
What
get
was the-
frustrated to me too when they're like, well, when my measurements, I measure time in beers and I measure
And
things
tiny
in like,
hands.
and my daughter's little hands, right? Like one
Yeah, or
tiny
the-
handful of.
Or was it,
of
what was
this.
the one the other night? A cocaine fingernail or something?
Yes. A cocaine nail is worth of Peptone. You know.
Yeah, that's why I always tell people is like this is amateur mycology. We're not professional mycologists, so
Well-
let's keep it amateur.
I don't know, man. Some of us are way better growers than most professional like grow
Yeah.
operations. Like
Yeah.
I've set up quote unquote professional grow operations. People growing
Mhm.
like they would call me to come and I'd go visit their professional grow of like say they want to do oysters or start an oyster mushroom or shiitake farm. I'd go and help them set that up. I'd consult with them for like a week, and then once everything's good to go. And I was like, I've got better shit at my house than you guys, and you guys wrote a grant for this. Like,
Mhm.
I get it, but you guys should have done a little bit more research because you're not going to use half of this crap you got.
No,
Yeah.
it's just
yeah.
wasted money.
And
Wasted money.
that's one weird thing I've noticed about mycology in general, and especially with new people struggle with is, you think, well, a little bit is good, more must be better. And that's the opposite in mycology with a lot of stuff, like moisture, nutrients, everything. It's just, they don't like a lot of things.
So one of my favorite stories when people are talking about, oh, I need to know exacts, right? Is as I try to tell them, there's this really, I'll just use the state, all right? So there's a big time grower of gourmet mushrooms in New Mexico, and they had called me because they were having problems getting their substrate right. And I was sitting there and I listened to them on the phone for like 40 minutes going through how they're measuring everything. And they have a lab and they're describing their lab and how great it is and all these scales. And like, oh, we have a vacuum scale, everything. So we can get everything exactly perfectly right. But we're having a hard time is that the mixture's different every time. It's not exactly the same every time. I was like, y'all are a bunch of type A personalities, huh? They're like, yeah. I was like, listen, unless you control your substrate from like make it yourself and like kiln dry it yourself and then rehydrate it yourself, and even then you're not going to get the same amount of water every single time. It's going to change. This is why like mushrooms grow in the wild, right? There's weather and there's rain and sometimes not rain. You're just trying to reduce it to the optimum growing conditions, but they're a living thing that's way more complex than growing like yeast to make beer or wine, where they need very specific like sets of conditions. Mushrooms are extremely adaptable. A little bit too much water, cool. A little bit not enough water, cool. They're gonna make it. They're gonna be just fine. Yep. There's like what do you call them? A bracket, right? Of you need to stay in. Side of, but the bracket's pretty big. The therapeutic levels are pretty big inside that bracket. And so I got to talk. It took a long time to get it through their head that they just needed to do a squeeze test on their fucking substrate. Just take 4 or 5 different samples and just squeeze it. They're like, well, how much weight, how much pressure are you putting on it? I was like, I don't freaking know. How hard can I squeeze with my hand? I don't have a measuring device for that. It's just, if it feels damp, it feels dry to the touch, but damp when you squeeze it out, and you can get a drop or two of water, it's done. That's it.
Yeah.
It's really that simple. Well, anyway, like our entire phone conversation was like 2 hours, and I'm like, all right, well, I mean, we've hit our minimum billable time. Best of luck. I can't help you further. Like, they're just talking circles, just circle, circle, circle. Well, do you have a measurement for that? Yeah, I mean, I could tell you, hey, put 800 milliliters of water to every, 1 pound of freaking substrate, but it's going to be different every time. This time might take 725. The next time might take 850 to get to the same.
You'd be like, well, can I have the relative density of each of those pellets that you're using, please?
Oh, dude, they literally sent stuff off to find like ash content and everything else in it. And I'm like, okay, we'll send a different sample. They're going to send every sample that they get that's going to be different because it comes from a different tree grown somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
They're not using the same clone tree over and over again. They're using hardwood pellets. They're going to be different between each different tree, whatever random leaves were in that pellet, whatever anything else.
What day they cut it on, how much did it rain that day, everything.
Yeah.
I had a discussion recently with a user on my Discord server who had an interesting approach for this. He called it preparing his substrate pasta style, where he just poured in way too much water and then just squeezed every handful out into another bucket so that every handful was prepared. Yeah.
You could do that, or you could actually just hang the bag too, and that the gravity will just suck all of the moisture out.
Yeah.
And leave
he
you
was just doing a couple monos, but yeah, that was definitely something for smaller grows. I mean, I normally prep like a whole 5 kilogram block myself, so that would take, if I was going to do that, that would take me like the better part of a day.
When I've rehydrated like core that comes in a block, you would love this. Throw it into the freaking cement mixture, spray in some water, turn it on, and just let it feed itself.
Wish.
Yeah.
Dude, I think I might go grab one of those, only so I can throw in one of those 10-pound blocks.
Oh yeah, it'll fill it all up. It'll fill up the entire like mixer. But you just sit there with the garden hose, take a beer and just spray it occasionally in there. When it gets dry and the block starts bouncing around, then it just breaks down because it's got the fins inside the cement mixer. It just hits them and breaks down and poof. And then next thing you know, you just tilt the mixer. The mixer has like a little lever. Pull the lever, it tilts it right into a bucket for you.
Nice.
Then you would have to go ahead and then I would have to pasteurize it again instead of doing buckets.
Nah, use boiling water. You can dump boiling water. It's a metal cement mixer. It's not at all damaged by hot water. I've poured boiling 5-gallon bucket of water in there and not hurt it at all. Like,
that would work. But I'm thinking, yeah. I'm going to bring a fucking cement mixer to the house.
It's electric. You can do it.
Yeah, it just plugs into a wall socket. It's 120.
Yeah.
But I would like to see you use it in the winter. You had to fight polar bears off and penguins. You dump out the errant penguin that's making a nest in there.
I just yeet the penguin into the mixer.
Fuck yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. He's going to go for a ride there, Charlie. I just see this poor penguin. This is going this is why I get kicked out of the good schools. All right, guys. Who else has something to add to the penguin mixing?
Me. I love penguins. They're my best friends.
You got anything else you'd like to add, Munch?
No,
how about
not really.
Discord? Anything you want to, our YouTube channel, just might as well tell everybody.
Yeah.
Promote yourself.
For sure. Yeah. If you want to find me, on YouTube, my channel is The Trusted Cultivator. My tag is at Munchauzen, with a Z. And, of course, I've got my Shroomery account where a lot of people don't know, but I have full write-ups that go with most of my videos, my tutorial videos. I get a lot of questions on YouTube itself, and a lot of those questions could be answered if you just found the full write-ups on Shroomery. So I probably should start linking some of those in the video description. So I've been constantly working on my YouTube channel. It's a work in progress. And if you want to catch me live, I'm usually streaming Wednesday nights. Let's see, that is 10:30 Eastern Standard. I usually go live for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then on Sundays I'm live at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time for about the same amount of time. And outside of that, you can find my Discord server. There are links in all my video descriptions for that right now. So join me on Discord. And yeah, thanks guys for having me on. I'd love to come back sometime.
Absolutely.
Oh, definitely. One thing we do at the end of every one of our videos is we kind of just say something positive to everybody, a little positive affirmation. So as the guest, Munchauzen, anything positive to say for our people out there?
Yeah, stay positive, you know. I think that's the one thing I struggle with is just maintaining a positive outlook. There's a lot of anxiety and stress out there, so fake it till you make it, I guess. It has actually helped me.
Damn it, you just stole my saying. I was about to say I was going to say it.
All right, Deadpool, what do you got for us?
Yeah, you know, just stay out of trouble. Fucking, I don't know, grow shit. There you go. Have fun.
Grow shit, have fun. And John, what do you got for us, buddy?
I usually Google something real fancy, but I'm going to try and go off the cuff today. You know, if life's got you down, just sit back and think for a while. Things will always get better. You know, I just wanted to leave that one out there for everybody.
What if you're on death row, though? Are things really going to get better?
Life is a roller coaster.
If you're on death row, you're probably not going to be listening to this podcast.
You've already peaked.
Yeah.
Yes. You're on your downward trend of the roller coaster ride.
Yeah. It's all smooth sailing from here. You don't have any life choices to make.
Right.
Okay.
Well, thanks again, guys.
Now from me, false confidence better than no confidence at all. Fake it till you make it, like he was saying. It works great.
Yeah.
We appreciate having you on, Munchauzen. It was great having you. You're a great person.
Absolutely.
Even though with the voice modulator, you do kind of sound like a tranny, but we love you still.
I'll take it.
Did you say steak?
So, as always, you guys can find us at the FAFO Cult Discord. You can find our Venmo at FAFO Cult if you'd like to drop us $1 or so. We promise to not use it for anything good or just go to pure debauchery and to keeping this podcast alive. Go ahead and check out our Etsy store. We're adding new artwork we're making that's slightly disturbing every day. That would be
every day.
Yeah, FAFO Cult Etsy. And we love you guys, and we'll see you all in the Discord here in a little bit. Thank you very much.
Bye.